In its journey so far, IEIA has achieved many milestones and there are many goals still to be achieved. Talking about the vision and its future plans was Mr. Rakesh Kumar, the President of IEIA. Thank you, sir. And now I have the honor of requesting Mr. J.S. Deepak to say a few words. Mr. J.S. Deepak, our chief guest of the day, is the Additional Secretary of Department of Commerce, Government of India, also Chairman and Managing Director of ITPO. He is an IAS officer of 82 batch. As Additional Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India, he looks after the work related to formulation and implementation of India's trade policy. He is also India's chief negotiator at the WTO and for the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership RCEP agreement, the mega FTA being negotiated by 16 countries. In his illustrious career, he has held various prestigious posts and has contributed immensely to all the departments that he has served. It's an honor to request Mr. J.S. Deepak now to say a few words.
Mr. Rakesh Kumar, Rajiv Malhotra, and members of the Executive Committee of the Indian Exhibition Industries Association, distinguished doyens of industry from India and abroad on the dais, the stage, and the audience, representatives of business, trade, and industry, delegates to the open seminar, participants at this important meeting, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is for me always a great pleasure to come to this India Exposition Center and Trade Mart. Finding myself this morning in the midst of such a distinguished galaxy of experience and experts from the trade and exhibition industry makes it, for me, a matter of special privilege and honor. I'm absolutely delighted to be here in your midst. I must, at the outset, congratulate Mr. Rakesh Kumar and the IEIA for organizing this event and the open seminar on an area of trade and business which is of critical importance for India and for this part of the globe. Today, in India, we may account for a small section, a small percentage of the world turnover of the exhibition industry. We may have only 1% of the exhibition infrastructure that is available globally, and the turnover of the industry, as pointed out, may be less than $2 billion. But I do believe that this is a time, this is a sector whose time has come. The Indian exhibition and convention industry is something which is bound to grow, and the growth, I believe, will snowball in the years to come. During my statement, I would like to share with you the reasons why I believe that this is going to happen, and I will dwell only on a few points. One is the importance of the exhibition and convention infrastructure as far as India is concerned, the role of the exhibition industry in promoting trade and commerce, and what the government of India in partnership with this industry, can do to make things happen. Trade, the Indian economy, as many of you might be aware, is forecast to enjoy a period of robust growth. And trade today forms an extremely important part of our economy. Trade accounts for more than 40% of our GDP, and it's growing at a, last 15 years, is growing at a CAGR of 14%. The merchandise and services sector today together are growing at the rate of 14%. This is especially meaningful when we look at some of the other parts of the globe. While the forecast for growth in the US is about 3%, the rest of the world is experiencing some sort of a downturn. Japan is in recession. EU is suffering a downturn, with the euro having devalued maybe 20–30% in the last few months. Growth is moderating in China, and we now talk of the new normal of 6 to 7%. These are our major markets. Russia is also facing an economic crisis, with the ruble having devalued almost 100% in the last 5 months. So compared to a large number of our trading partners, markets, growth of the economy, trade and industry in India is expected to be much more robust. Also, our exports have been flat for the last 3–4 years, mainly because of stagnating demand in our major markets. We run a very large trade deficit. As a proportion of GDP, the trade deficit of India is perhaps the largest in the world, the largest in the world. This shows that the economy is open, there are no elements of protectionism, and our exports are in a very many ways are import intensive. Most of our exports require imports. We export a lot of refined petroleum. We export a lot of jewelry, for which we import the gold and the gems. A whole lot of produce which we export is dependent on import. So trade is an essential part of the Indian economy, and the growth of trade that forecast will have its cascading effects on all sections of trade and industry, including the exhibition industry. And this is the first point I wish to make. The Make in India program, to which Mr. Rakesh Kumar alluded to, is a flagship program of the Government of India. The goal set for the economy is to increase the proportion of manufacturing in GDP from about 15% to 25%. It's a huge and ambitious task. And it assumes that for this, trade, including export of manufactured products, would grow at the rate of 15 to 20%. At present, it's flat. So, in order to achieve the objectives of the flagship program of the Government of India, which is the Make in India program, the Government of India is committed to promote the growth of trade generally, which again is good news, I think, for the exhibition industry. The second point I'd like to make is on the strategy which the government of India follows for promoting trade. We believe that there are 4 pillars for promoting exports. And since our exports depend a whole lot on imports, it will have an impact on generally promoting growth. The first is opening doors of important markets by getting market access for our companies in those markets through commercially meaningful outcomes in comprehensive free trade agreement negotiations. We are at present in negotiations at the WTO, of course, the RCEP with 15 other countries accounting for 50% of the world's population, 30% of trade and 30% of GDP, with the European Union, with Canada, with Australia. And we shortly will be starting negotiations with the Eurasian Economic Commission consisting of Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. So the global trade agenda is very ambitious, which will require a lot of flow of information both ways, a field in which you have expertise. Our free trade agreements are not only about trade, they are also about investments. They have provisions for promoting and protecting investments, to enable investments from abroad into our economy, as well as to ensure that Indian investments go out to the world. The second pillar of promoting trade is domestic reforms to increase the competitiveness of the economy. And this mostly refers to improvement in infrastructure to make it state-of-the-art in areas like, including areas like logistics, which is very closely associated with the needs of this industry. Improving the ease of doing business and ensuring a single window, a real operating single window kind of a situation for many industries, including the exhibition industry, and making India the hub for services. The third pillar is support through incentives and subsidies. We do realize that working in India often doesn't have a level playing field. To compensate for shortcomings in infrastructure in the short run, in making up for transaction costs, for the high cost of finance and of energy, the government has an ambitious program of providing subsidies. And these, as I will come to, will extend to the convention and the exhibition industry as well. And the last leg for trade promotion and increasing exports and imports is export promotion, which is something which is what has, according to me, been grossly neglected in India. It's perhaps also a function of time. We have now reached a stage where we have the product. We need to promote it. We are globally competitive in at least 10 important sectors in merchandise, including textiles, leather, automotives, small autos, pharmaceuticals, agriculture products of various kinds. And we need our companies to go out to the world to showcase these strengths and open markets. Similarly, we are competitive in not only in the ITITA services, which have a transformational effect on business and industry in the West, but also in a number of other areas, like business services, professional services, and the like. The short point I wish to make is there is a huge opportunity. It needs to be showcased, and the exhibition industry for merchandise and the convention industry for services has its role cut out for itself. The big opportunities are here, and they come with big bucks, and the government of India is committed to facilitating it. In his remarks, Mr. Rakesh Kumar referred to a number of areas where the government needs to step in. He outlined shortage of infrastructure, need for giving an industry status to the exhibition industry, the problem of multiple permissions, and the need to attract the best human resources to this industry. I can assure you that the government is aware of the acute shortage of infrastructure that we have. I mentioned that we have only 1% of the global indoor infrastructure for exhibition and only 5% of Asia's infrastructure. And most exhibitions and conventions, even if they happen in Asia, go away to Singapore, Hong Kong, and increasingly to Beijing and Shanghai. The government is committed to address this through an ambitious program of itself providing facilities through its own entities, as well as supporting private organizations through public-private partnership projects, viability gap funding. It is proposed that we develop, the plan is to develop state-of-the-art exhibition and convention infrastructure in 20 of the major state capitals and in Delhi in the next 4 years. This is a commitment which you will see unfold. In addition, there's the issue of softer skills. Organizing an exhibition or rolling out a convention, I realize, is much more than just having the brick and mortar infrastructure. The softer skills of bidding for conventions, of organizing exhibitions, and all the appurtenant activities which make such events a success will also be supported through an integrated scheme to be developed by the Department of Tourism and Commerce. The needs of the industry are clear. The determination of government has been expressed by our finance minister in his budget statement. And this is a partnership which I'm sure will happen very soon. I have no doubt in my mind that the exhibition industry in India will flourish and grow. It will attract investment and the best professional talent because of the huge opportunities which exist here. And the government will, while we believe in the government of India, that the role of business is to keep government out of, the role of government is to keep government out of business, we will, in this sector, walk hand in hand to make things happen. There is an old Indian saying, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk together. We believe that with this partnership between different stakeholders, agencies, and organizations in this field, the convention and the exhibition industry in particular will thrive and grow and reach commanding heights. I'm sure with trust, I'm sure the next decade, starting with these next 4 or 5 years, will see a quantum jump in facilities and events that get attracted to India. Trust and technology, I'm sure, will prevail, as they say, over bureaucracy and bullshit. Thank you all for your presence here, and thank you for being here. I hope you have a very productive meeting and good business. I'm glad you are taking some time off on the 4th day to also visit the Taj Mahal, which is just a couple of hours away from here. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir, for assuring us of all the government support.